Do you love oil? Yeah, man. My name is Blake Bilger, and along with my colleagues, Jesus Diaz, Marissa Hayes, and Dominique Guevara, we are going to tell you a few things about Yemen's energy sector. Compared to several countries in the Middle East, Yemen is not a major producer of hydrocarbons. The nation has plenty of oil and natural gas for both domestic demand and exports. Unfortunately, Yemen's dangerous geopolitical environment prevents the production and transport of those natural resources for which it has plenty of. Struggling oil production and repetitive attacks on Yemen's energy infrastructure have counteracted the forward progress in the country's natural gas division since the late 2000s. Yemen's difficult security situation continues to complicate the exploration, production, and transportation of hydrocarbon resources in the country.
Yemen began producing crude oil in 1986 at very low levels and gradually increased production throughout 1987. The country's first significant production came in 1988 when it produced 173,000 barrels per day. Yemen's average monthly crude oil production declined after 2001 when production peaked at more than 440,000 barrels per day. Yemen had plans to boost production to 500,000 barrels per day, but declining production at its maturing fields, limited exploration, and frequent attacks on the country's energy infrastructure made that goal impossible. According to the Oil and Gas Journal, Yemen had proved reserves of oil totaling 3 billion barrels as of January 2014. In 2013, there were at least 10 attacks on Yemen's oil and natural gas pipeline system, and some industry sources estimate closer to 24 attacks. In 2012, there were more than 15 attacks, and oil exports were completely offline for most of the first half of the year. Securing the country's pipelines and other critical energy infrastructure is a stated goal of Yemen's current president, but the efforts have not been entirely successful to date. The security situation has led several smaller international oil companies to suspend operations. The country continues to hold bidding rounds for exploration blocks that may hold additional oil resources in both offshore and onshore areas. There are contradicting reports of Yemen's additional oil resources. Even if additional resources exist in the country, the current security environment restricts the ability of companies to produce and transport oil.
Yemen started as an importer of natural gas in 2009. Since then, Yemen's natural gas consumption has increased as well as its natural gas exportation. Yemen exported about 330 billion cubic feet of liquid natural gas in 2013, representing more than 90% of its total dry natural gas production of that year. 3% of the world's liquid natural gas volume comes from Yemen's liquid natural gas. Yemen's liquid natural gas facilities and exports is under contract to GDF, Suez, Total, or Korean Gas. Yemen's natural gas infrastructure, particularly pipelines, is the target of persistent attacks. Because of the attacks, Yemen has had to postpone or lost cargoes. However, such attacks have not declined Yemen's production or exports.
Yemen's oil consumption has been trending steadily upward, reaching around 144,000 barrels per day in 2013. The country has 2 operating refineries with a total capacity of 140,000 barrels per day. While these refineries produce some of the petroleum products Yemen needs, the refineries do not operate at full capacity, and the country imports additional petroleum products to help meet internal demand. The Aden refinery is the largest in the country, accounting for almost all of Yemen's total refining capacity of 140,000 barrels per day. Oil production in Yemen declined steadily after peaking in 2001, but beginning in 2009, the country began producing commercial quantities of natural gas for domestic use and for exports as liquid natural gas. The majority of Yemen's population does not have access to electricity, although the country plans to build several new generating facilities over the coming years. To conclude, Yemen is the world's 32nd biggest oil exporter. Yemen is a small oil producer and does not belong to the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries. Yemen is one of the poorest countries in the Arab world due